at 8 p.m. Eastern. Paul Skeens pitching for the United States. He will take on Luis Severino for the Dominican Republic. It is indeed must watch baseball. The current U.S. roster has 9 players who received MVP votes last year. Aaron Judge, who obviously won it, as well as Paul Skeens, Cal Riley, Bobby Wood Jr., Byron Buxton, Kyle Schwarber, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Bryce Two Wing, and Will Smith. You talk about a power punch of an all-star team, even without, by the way, Terrence Scoble, who did pitch one game, and then obviously he had to go back to the Tigers because of spring training circumstances. The Dominican Republic, and guess what? They also have 9. Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, Fernando Tatis Jr. You're talking about an outfield there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Gerardo Perdomo, Junior Canero, and Christopher Sanchez. In this game, 18 out of 41 players received MVP votes last year. This is what baseball is all about. When baseball changed the rules a few years ago and they implemented the bigger bases, they implemented the banning of the shift, they implemented a pitch clock. This year, they're implementing the automated ball strike system in an attempt to speed up the game. Baseball has done a lot to market their players, and I think Shohei Ohtani going to the Los Angeles Dodgers and competing for Japan in the World Baseball Classic has also helped because the Dodgers are a major brand, obviously, uh, and they get Ohtani basically in every national spotlight they possibly can. I also think Fox being the center stage for this year's World Baseball Classic and taking it over for ESPN, where it's not buried in their NBA coverage. For Fox, I mean, they're putting the World Baseball Classic on broadcast television. They're having guests on their shows, whether it's The Herd or First Things First. They're airing games on FS1. I know some of the games have aired on FS2 and Tubi, but I believe the U.S. versus Mexico game Monday night got over 5 million viewers. That is a ALCS or NOCS type number for Fox when it comes to baseball. I think that this World Baseball Classic is only going to outmarket the game more. It's been really fun. And I've watched not only the U.S., I was interested, obviously, in Italy versus Mexico because of the U.S. Circumstances. But I've watched all over the place. It's been really fun to get an introductory to baseball. And, I think one of the U.S. players, I don't remember who it was, said that it is like playoff baseball in March. And playoff baseball is the best. I've always argued the MLB playoffs are the best because it's 30 days. You play 2 straight games, then you get a travel day, then you'll play 2 or 3 straight games based off the series. I think it's quick. I think it's intense. One pitch can change the outcome of every game. And I'm watching the U.S. versus Canada last night, and Bo Naylor hits that 2-run shot, makes it 5-3, and Canada's got second and third, bottom of the seventh with nobody out, and you're sitting here going, "Oh my God!" And the crowd is going into it, and there's a lot of back and forth, and that is the dramatics of baseball. And again, Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, O'Reilly, Bobby Wood Jr., Byron Buxton, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez. This is just some of the talent name that's going to be on the field tomorrow night. This is more star-studded than the NBA All-Star Game. This is more studded sometimes than an MLB All-Star Game. And the thing is, this has real stakes. And I do think that, I have said before that I think sometimes, our country pride a little bit has diminished. You go on the internet a lot, you see all these comments about, oh, the U.S. is going to hell and all this stuff, regardless of the political aisle you're on. And I was at the gym yesterday working out, and I had a conversation with somebody who said that people still do not realize how thankful we are to be in the United States of America, the freedoms we have, the fact that I'm able to podcast with you here today, that I have, a mouse, I have a computer, I have a webcam, I have Wi-Fi, I have a phone, where, in other countries, they are just wanting simple internet access. They're wanting access to a free meal. And I do think in sports, you know, we have seen this with the NHL and the Four Nations thing that happened a year ago. And now this year, obviously, in the Winter Olympics, the US versus Canada, the numbers it did. I think sports is the one place where our country still has a ton of patriotism, and I think it's a pride thing, right? Canada, boys, excuse me, that they have the best hockey players in the world. Here in the United States, we believe we have undoubtedly the best basketball team in the world. I do think Major League Baseball, there's a little bit of a debate there. Maybe it's between the Dominican Republic, Japan, and the United States. All three of those teams are locked. Now, I do think the U.S. Team is more balanced in terms of pitching, in terms of hitting, than the Dominican and Japan. Italy has surprised everybody, obviously, in this World Baseball Classic, which is, again, another example of what's great about the sport of baseball. In the sport of baseball, every game starts 0-0. And, in basketball, you sort of feel like you're getting the more talent, you're going to win. In football, I think you feel like if you're the overly significant better roster or the overly significant better quarterback, you are 75% of the time going to win the game. I think in baseball, it all comes down to momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. You could have a roster filled with guys. Sometimes guys go cold at hitting. If you go three for every 10 at bats, you are a Hall of Famer in baseball. Hitting MLB starting pitching is the hardest thing to do in professional sports, which is what is going to make this game between two countries that are very prideful about their baseball. You have got 18 guys that received at least one MVP vote a year ago. They're all going to be on the same field tomorrow night. This is much watch baseball. I cannot wait. 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.